So I'll quickly invite my fellow panelists, Mohit Ganju from IndusInd Bank. We also have Prasanjeet from Oberoi Hotels, Alok from Ashok Leyland, and we have Sanjay Tripathy from HDFC Life. You would have met all of them in previous such events. Hi, everyone. What I would want to do is just start off the proceedings with a quick round of introductions, and Sanjay will start with you.
Hi, I'm Sanjay Tripathy. I head marketing products, digital and e-commerce in HDFC Life.
Hi, Alok Saraogi. I head brand marketing, customer support, and corporate communications for Ashok Leyland.
Hi, I'm Prasanjeet Baruah. I head marketing at the Oberoi group of hotels.
I am Mohit Ganju. I head marketing and communication for IndusInd Bank.
Thanks, gentlemen. So I'll just set some quick context in terms of what we are trying to do. The reason why we are all assembled here is largely to talk about the confluence of customer experience, engagement, and marketing, and business outcomes. Now, customer engagement till some time ago used to be the premise of the customer and not necessarily of the marketer. And that's completely turned on its head, and at this point in time, you have pretty much the marketing activity happening everywhere, because every point where a customer engages with your brand can potentially be a marketing opportunity where you could make a prospect into a customer. So what we will talk about is how does this engagement work first. We will also try and understand what the attribution of those engagements is to business outcomes. We will look for some examples, and we'll see if we have time to get into a little bit of measures and how different brands measure them. And we'll definitely try and understand what are the challenges brands face in bringing this connection about. So that's broadly what we'll look at. There's something, there's a language we have started using at our agency in Sapient Nitro. We call it the return on experience, ROX. So all the components of ROX is pretty much what we will try and cover through this conversation. So I'll just get the proceedings kicked off. What I wanted to do is and just so if people registered, we have a fantastic collection of perspectives. So we have banking, we have insurance, we have hospitality, we have auto, but more importantly, we have both the B2C and the B2B perspectives here as well. So I'm going to try and obviously tease out some of those nuances through this conversation. So just wanted to quickly start off from the perspective of how brands are leveraging engagement, and I specifically wanted to start with a relatively simpler, kind of industry segment. So, Mohit, if I start with you, start about how do you look at retail consumers and how you're driving engagement all the way through to the continuum of business results?
I think before I sort of answer that question, I just wanted to sort of give certain category insights and category truths. And banking per se, of course, is a fairly old category. Everybody's got a bank account here, but if I just quickly ask a question, it could be a raise of hands. When was the last time one visited your bank branch? Did you visit your bank branch in the last 1 week? How many? Okay. But how many of you visited an ATM in the last 1 week, or maybe yesterday? Yeah. So I think the reason I sort of asked that question is that, and therefore the discussion is banks are moving fairly fast in the whole engagement piece with digital in the stride, okay? Because we are seeing increasingly footfalls falling in branches. You really don't need to now come into a branch if you're there on mobile banking, if you're there on internet banking. You can use any bank's ATM. So what is the need to come to a branch? And that's where typically my staff sits. So once you stopped coming to the place where my staff sits, how do I engage with you? Okay, and as a category, as a brand, and you would have seen a slew of stuff that most of the banks and a lot of private or large banks are doing to engage their customers in the entire digital sphere. whether it is service, whether it is acquisition, whether it is payments, across the genre of stuff that you do in the category. Brands are moving to engage with their customers digitally because the other truth is that if I create stickiness in my brand, which essentially in the financial services category means that I get you to transact with my brand, the moment you start transacting with my brand, you start keeping balances, and therefore that gives me an opportunity to cross-sell and upsell to you. So I think just to close the remark there, category per se is doing a lot of stuff which is now focused on digitally engaging with their customers and therefore driving value out of that.
Thanks, Mohit. Sanjay, we'll come to you, and with a specific nuance, especially teasing off from what Mohit just said. Should we be thinking of products more as maybe services, given how pervasive the engagement is beginning to get? And what's your perspective on that?
Well, if I talk about my category, like particularly insurance, so the problem is not about the products. Problem is about education. Problem is about it is almost like nobody really thinks about insurance. It's very low involvement kind of category, and traditionally it is really tough to do market because when you are doing marketing, in your lifespan you only buy 3 or 4 times an insurance product. So I do marketing. Obviously, my company expects that business will go up, but nothing happens in the business. So you got nothing to show. So eventually, company will come back and say that why I need money, spend money in marketing. So the marketing budgets across the companies has really come down over the years. People like Prasanjeet has moved out to different industries because they don't get enough marketing money to really spend. So what has really digital helped us, like what we call as continuous engagement. So what is required for this category is more about continuous engagement. And at the same time, when you're doing continuous engagement, how can you educate the customer? So it is important to that person to engage and at the same time give the right cues for him why he needs life insurance. So when we look at engagement, again, the key is again what is the right context and what is the right medium to really engage. Because if you look at digital, there are multiple medium. It can be through video in YouTube or through Facebook or through Twitter or through blogs. But it is important to understand what the customer will be looking at, like as you rightly said, in a product or a customer service. So what we have done as a team in terms of looking at every medium separately, saying that what the purpose this medium can play and how can we engage better with that customer. Right. So engagement-wise, we have done. We saw dramatic results, like our Facebook fan page is like the highest in the BFSI sector, which is higher than all the banks, is the ICICI banks and HDFC bank. Twitter, we have got probably the largest follower, one of the largest follower for insurance across the world. And currently our hashtag My Team My Pride is the best campaign across the world. It is beating Bleed Blue. We have got 650K impressions. We have got more than 10,000 tweets. So what we realize that if you do a contextually right, you can engage with the customer and you talk about the right things, then probably, you can, when you done the products and all, he can get educated in the process and then he looks at you at a very different manner. So this is very important when you are looking at a particularly in a financial product, low involvement financial product, to create a community, take the community, ensure that the guy is getting the right information and he sticks to you for a longer period of time. So I'll just give another example. In Twitter, 2-3 months back, we said stand-up comedy on Twitter. So basically the comedians, stand-up comedians will actually, you ask a question on finance, he'll give a funny answer. But because it's a funny answer, more people came and so it is about saying that, should I look at and I think one girl asked, like, should I look at bank balance of a husband or the job? So that what the kind of answer coming in. But that's the kind of answers will keep you hooked. And in that message, you can gradually put something, how about look at long-term financial planning. And it's a more contextual, people will love that thing. So socially, to look at in that manner in terms of how to really create engaging content and at the moment then, engage the customer.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sanjay. So talking about, two things, came out of it, context and joining the conversation rather than, trying to kind of create or bulldoze into one. So context, Prasanjeet, then I'll come to you. Fantastic opportunity to just examine how the hospitality industry, how it plays in, especially when you look at the progress to completion in the entire chain. How does it play in?
So in hospitality, we are in the business of delivering experiences to our guests and customers. So we start off from there. So it's quite a paradox from what Mohit just shared of how people are not are being encouraged to engage with technology. For us, our base starts with engagement with the customers and the guests at the hotels. And as a marketer, our challenge is to carry on that journey and that relationship that has been first started off in the hotel and build it further. So that's the entire way we build our context in hotels. And so it's a very interesting thing. So what we ended up doing, and 3-4 years back when we put our CRM program together, we've actually mapped each touch point of a guest right from the pre-consideration to the, even if he drops out, carries on, comes back, miss you campaigns. We've done a full kind of mapping, and we have some 132 various touch points under kind of some 20 buckets that we've mapped out, where we communicate with all our guests on a regular basis. What's important, Shubh, in our case is because we are such a touch-feel business, even the way we communicate has to change. So it's not simply that I kind of put together 5 segments and I put 5 offers for them, saying if Shubh's a regular with me, 5 years regular, Mohit's 1 year, and I send him a 5-year offer and a 1-year offer, it doesn't work for me. What I have to push forward, if he's been with me for the last 5 years, the tone of voice in my communication to a person who's been with me for 5 years changes vis-a-vis a person who's come with me for a year or is a new guest on board. So those are nuances that we kind of plug in. And more importantly, because our business starts with that level of nuances. So if you go to a hotel regularly, the difference in the way the hotel will treat you. If you're regular, it's not that they're condescending to new people, but if they know you, there's a certain familiarity that breathes in. So how we replicate that familiarity in our communication and engagement through marketing is where our challenge comes up. So it's a bit of a different kind of a problem that we have.
Fantastic. Thanks, Prasanjeet. So all 3 examples that we looked at, essentially target the end individual, or the end consumer. I just wanted to kind of quickly, come to you, Alok, and give us a sense of, how these things, potentially get turned around very differently, especially, from a B2B perspective.
Well, I'm actually very glad I came last because I have a sort of a view on what the conversations earlier have been. Before we take that question up, a few sort of perspective on our business. So all my co-panelists, their sale and their customer interaction actually starts when they sell the product to the customer. In our case, because we have no direct interface with the customer, our engagement actually starts post-sale. Unlike hospitality or even banking where you make a choice, all of you have insurance products. The reality is you didn't buy your insurance product, you were sold it, right? You bought what the agent suggested to you, and that's typically what our business works on as well. It's a hugely word-of-mouth dependent business. While it's a very involved purchase because it's a 20 lakh and over buy for a single vehicle, the amount of information the customer doesn't have is quite staggering. So it's the sales guy's job to sell the customer what the sales guy believes is appropriate for the customer. He's happy to pick up either an Ashok Leyland or a competitive name because that's what he's buying. We discovered, and no surprise, that because we have limited interaction and therefore control with the end customer, engagement has to take on a different spin for us. Unlike when I was in Jet Airways doing services or the Future Group doing retail and clothing, etc., this is a different business. So we said, let's not focus on the customer because we have limited interface with him. My interaction with the customer happens at 4 points. When he buys my product, but he's buying through a dealer, not from Ashok Leyland. And when he comes in for his 3 free services for the vehicle, which is the behavior all of us exhibit. The difference, however, is when you buy your vehicle, the company not just transfers possession of the vehicle, but transfers ownership. In our case, we only give the possession. The customer takes no ownership of the vehicle, and that's why you see battered, abused, 20-year-old trucks on the road because they don't look after it, right? The reason they don't is because it's seen as a commercial vehicle, which means it's supposed to earn revenue. The only engagement the customer has with the vehicle is it shouldn't break down. So there is no emphasis on post-sale service, warranty, nothing of that sort. So long as it works, I don't really care. So we decided to focus on the channel because that's the conduit to the customer. We've made significant investments in the channel, offline and online both. And yes, we do use digital, however, differently from how my co-panelists do. For example, our customers' involvement is with vehicle shouldn't break down, and if it does, I should have the spares, and I should have your service capability. Many of the dealers weren't able to sort of expand the network, so we set up our own modular service points for them, which means it's like a containerized workshop at your doorstep. So wherever my dealer can't reach, I will reach you, so that you're never alone in terms of an Ashok Leyland service. We've used digital to work with a channel as well. So now every time a dealer salesperson goes to a customer, he works on a tablet, right? The entire sales process is mapped on the tablet. He's actually walking the customer through the product on a tab. Each vehicle has a CAD drawing which is available on the machine, so he's actually able to walk him through the interiors, the aggregates, how it comes together and what the value proposition is. Through the same, for every vehicle and every application, as we call it, we've mapped a customer value proposition which you can walk the customer through. It's not a customizable business, so you can't choose the vehicle that you want. There are a few things you can sort of customize for yourself, so that's what the salesperson does as well. We have about 3,000 odd engineers across the country, right, who work with service to find solutions to vehicles as and when they break down. So we discovered a lot of anecdotal wealth of information and knowledge that we weren't tapping. So we've created community groups where the engineers speak to each other. It's of course backed by technology, and by virtue of that, we're able to solve many problems because they're not new problems. They're problems that existed in the system somewhere. We have therefore found easy, quick win solutions to those which the engineers can use to solve customer issues on the spot. So we're doing a lot of things. I do have about a 70,000 strong Facebook page, and the reality is I don't know what to do with it. These are organic individuals who've come and sort of liked the Ashok Leyland page. We've done nothing to engage with them, and we still don't, because we still don't figure out what to do with them, right? So yes, I understand that there is a need to engage the customer. In our case, it's a different need. We have rephrased the problem by saying digital is not social media, right? So for us, we use technology to find business solutions, and the only two metric we use is, does it inform reputation, does it inform revenue? If it doesn't do either of these things, we just consider that a waste of time.
Interesting and pretty clear and crisp perspective. Thanks, Alok. One of the things which I wanted to follow up on is, so marketing has traditionally focused on advertising and sales to meet its objectives. Now, starting from that context, and given that customers are engaging with the brand at any different point, how exactly is each brand working on each of those touch points and each of those engagements? What are the examples in order to drive those business outcomes? So maybe Sanjay, we can start with you.
Well, it depends on what you consider as business outcomes. You have to define it very early in the business. So what we really looked at, in the sense, like, my social media engagement eventually should increase my traffic in the website, because that's a very clear, measurable way of seeing that whether the engagement is really moving toward business results or not. The other way of looking at engagement is measuring the engagement. So from the beginning, again, we have actually tied up with OnMetric to really track all our communication in terms of whenever we're doing a Facebook, it is not just a fan growth kind of thing. What is the engagement growth which is happening? Again, OnMetric give you very good opportunity to track it against other competition, track it against other players in the industry, other industries also. So for us, it is always about tracking about our engagement and ensuring that actually it's the engagement happening rather than just fan, or like you are talking about just mentions part of it. Then then the other thing is important to really see what kind of things post or things you are doing actually creating that kind of engagement. Again, I'll go back to saying that, is it creating continuous engagement or not? Is to not be like a contest-driven sports kind of thing, because you do something, reach there and then leave it like traditional media. It doesn't work in digital. Third thing is I think Prasanjeet said similar thing. Every industry has to find out what is the purpose of doing the engagement. For us, the purpose is something as a reassurance. For us, reassurance is required for pre-sales. Also, it is required for post-sales. So my engagement cannot just stop just getting someone to buy the product. You have to ensure that he has bought the right product, because obviously insurance, you'll never know that this is the right product you have bought or not. How he is continuously reassured that he has bought the right product from the right company, and this company really talks to him. So that's more critical. The fourth thing what we need to really see is that how we are tracking the results, in the sense we have tracked our website visitors. Last 2 years it has actually doubled, and as per the last tracking is 1.8 million visitors has come to our website from social media. So that's And in the same time, our e-commerce business has grown. So if I link it to the e-commerce business, my e-commerce business currently, we are 3 times bigger than our nearest competition, including LIC. And probably just now Yasis met me in the room. He said, like, probably you got 25 to 30% of the all insurance visitors coming to your site. That's an amazing achievement. It could not have happened without my social and digital engagement and presence. I could not have bought, he talked about 70,000 fans. I could not have made a 3.2 million strong Facebook fan base without engagement. Similarly, my Twitter follower would not have been 1.5 lakhs without that. Be it LinkedIn, again, we are in top 3, number 1 in insurance and probably top 3 or 4 in BFSI. So it is important to check, as I was telling again, it is important to really click in all possible medium, ensure that you are doing continuous engagement, ensure that you are doing it for a purpose, ensure that it is not just about selling, it is about education is the key emphasis, particularly for our industry, so that you are giving more knowledge to that person, be it through a video, be it through a text, be it through a message, and how you are actually driving everything together to your website. That's one more critical. So customer, depending on the medium or depending on the social channel, customer can join at 3rd point or at 5th point or at 1st point or at 20th point, but the end result, he can actually move to the website. So that's how my final measure is. From where actually I drive my e-commerce.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sanjay. Prasanjeet, I'll just come to you simply because the contrast is pretty interesting. So the strategic intent from an engagement perspective for you, I would assume, would be twofold. One is obviously attracting the prospect and having him come into your property. The other is also how do you drive engagement and drive in property purchases, in property spending, and then subsequent engagement and loyalty. So how do you balance these 3 very different intents?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the way we look at it, obviously 1 is acquisition, 2 is repeat business, and 3 is obviously in property, like you said, cross-sell, upsell kind of a story. For us, repeat, if I were to take one objective that is prime for us from the CRM and the engagement program perspective, it is the repeat business. The new business, we leave more to the advertising and the other media buy kind of a story to do that. And we have, as a hotel industry, we are very strong on PR. So PR also does a lot of work for us on that business. For us, the single pronged objective is to increase repeat business. So we have great hotels. People come in, have good experiences. But when we started this program maybe 4 years back, the repeat was always a concern. I mean, you'd normally expect a very, very high repeat business happening in our hotels. It wasn't the truth. So we actually sat down, looked at the data, understood how. So what happens is sometimes you can land up taking things for granted. Things are all disparate. You have like 5 data points happening, 5 data centers collecting data because no one's put it together. So the way we went about it was we first put on everything into a single customer view, which is how a hotelier anyway sees it, or any retailer would see it. Put that there. And it was interesting because when I put that single customer view, I went to the older general managers of the hotels and I asked them, tell me your top 10 guests in your hotel. And these are guys who spent 5-7 years in the hotel. Believe you me, the best general manager got 10% correct. Okay? Because what was happening was our entire repeat engagement was happening more on memory and relationships than actual data. So I may have hit it off with a customer or a guest earlier on in my career who was very good to me, and we kind of connected, and he always stayed in my mind. But 5 years down, he's probably moved to a different hotel chain, or he's moved countries, or changed jobs, or whatever. But he's still there, he's important to me. And I actually went and tested with 5 or 7 general managers, and it was amazing. So that's how I actually sold the entire CRM thought to them, saying, look, you're great hoteliers, you're great engagement people, but you need to have data, you need to have dashboards, you need to know who the people are. So I think that was our first step on the entire repeat business, because running this entire thing in isolation in a service industry is not going to get me anywhere. I can put together all touch points, map the data, send emailers out to customers, but when those people come into the hotels and they're treated in a different manner, it beats the entire purpose. So we first solved that problem, convince the internal audience for us is very, very important. And it's something I learned in my time in the financial industries. We used to work with branch managers all over the country. I'm sure both of you have the same concern. And to educate them, tell them why I'm doing what I'm doing is the first challenge internally. So the internal marketing of the program, and once that happened, okay, you actually went to the customers. And it's amazing, we got, on all our repeat mailers, we started getting 3-page email responses saying, so I'd send, say, a mailer to a person who stayed in Wildflower Hall last year saying, Mr. Ganju, we miss you, you've not come back. We look forward to having you here next summer. Signed by the general manager. Mr. Ganju writes back saying, oh, I had a great time, we spent quality time, and he writes the entire story back. So when I started getting 2-3 page replies on my emailers, obviously there was an intent to converse with the brand. So someone had done a great job on the ground, which is what I started off saying, because that's the spin I have as a marketing person in Oberoi Hotels, or in any hotel company actually. So why not take that forward? People wanted to have a conversation with you. Okay, open up the channels. It could be email, could be social. So Twitter for us is very, very big. Facebook also is very big for us, Twitter, Facebook. And obviously the one-on-one letter channel. So we are more long copy kind of people. You won't see us writing 3-word sexy hashtag lines. It doesn't work with us as a brand. So we are more long copy. It's more touch and feel. So we work with that. And surprise, people love writing back to you long copy also. So that keeps us going. So the engagement works for us very well, and repeat for us. And what we've seen, Shubh, over the last 2 years, and I can share kind of growth numbers with you, but we've actually had 60% growth in repeat guests coming back to us, okay, and coming back, repeating businesses. It works very well for sales, and last year we had a 49 crore number on CRM that delivered to the business on repeat, and all driven through emailing and social contacts. So we put together a number there and went for it. So it was more of so it was the business angle through marketing, which we actually managed driving.
Sure. Thanks, Prasanjeet. So just on the subject of the fact that the customer wants to converse with you, unlike a bank situation, where the customer does not necessarily look forward to kind of conversing with the bank. So, and that same question, Alok, I'll come back to you as well on. So, Mohit, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that challenge? What are some of the things you're doing in that space?
Okay, we take that as an interesting question, and I will throw a question to the audience again. Raise of hands, how many of you hate phone banking? Which is calling the banks. That's fantastic. Okay, so to answer your question, we've sort of, we've built our own whole philosophy, and again, I'm sort of, and because it's ad tech and therefore my answers are more digital than offline. We built a whole philosophy around solving pain points, okay? So, and one of the biggest channels by which you reach a bank, because you stopped coming to my branch, is phone banking. And when you call any traditional phone banking, of course you need to remember your debit card, or you need to have your debit card with you, or you need to remember your account number. You need to have a T-pin, which is the telephone pin. And if you get connected, if you are lucky that you get connected, you would be asked, and if, in case you're doing a transaction, in case you're just asking a balance, it will be told to you. But in case you want to do a transaction, we're going to ask you 5-6 questions. You may not have answers to 3 of them, and therefore we will not do anything with you. Okay? So, so if I put that as the background, and I talk about, maybe some of you have heard about the service, only one in the world, the only bank in the world, the only entity in the world that has this service, which we launched a few months back. It's called Video Branch. Okay? Through this service, the service is available on app, iOS, Android. The service is available on the web. You can download the app. You can make a call from the web as well. When you connect through this call, the only thing that you need to do is, as long as you're dialing from your number that is registered with the bank, we send you an OTP and we connect you to an agent. Okay? So when you're connected to the agent, you're actually connected to the agent. You're not connected to the IVR now. You're speaking to a person face to face over a video call. It works beautifully on 3G. It works fantastic on Wi-Fi. But the biggest beauty here, which the problem that we were solving, was now as a customer, you don't need to remember anything. Okay? You just don't need to forget your mobile number. Okay? So when you got an OTP and you got connected to the agent, the front-end agent screen pops up. Apart from the other information that it pops up your picture. Okay, so I photo verify you. Okay, when I photo verify you, my regulator now allows me to do a whole number of transactions that you can do on a video call without me asking you another question. Okay, so no more high-risk verifiers, no more mother's maiden name, last check, last ATM transaction, all of that. And you can do a humongous number of transactions on a video call. Very popular with NRIs, because this service on the contact center or the video call center is 24/7. NRIs love it because, one, it's free. So they call on a Wi-Fi, it's not an ISD they call. And two, they love to speak to their, so you can schedule a call while the agent is 24/7, but you can schedule a call with your branch manager for the next day or whenever you want to. And therefore, the service is live at all our 785 branches, and you can sort of make a call. So this really solves that one key issue. Two, the insight was that Indians love to talk face-to-face. Indians are less rude when they are face-to-face, okay? You typically bang a call, tuck, I don't want to speak to you kind of a thing. Very difficult to disconnect when you're face-to-face. So our initial sort of learnings, we were at higher upsell, cross-sell ratios on this. It's easier to sell face-to-face. My average call time is 16 minutes, okay, on a 3G or on a Wi-Fi. Today, 50% of my calls are from web, 50% from a mobile app on iOS or Android. So I think somewhere the category, and this is just one example I wanted to give you, the philosophy being how do I solve your pain point? What are your pain points in the category? And how am I using digital to solve that? Okay, I'm not going to take the offline world examples. We've done a whole lot of stuff there. But digitally, how do I therefore am able to engage with you? So just to give a last bit of stat, I get 2,000 calls on a contact center every day. I'm clocking 800 calls on a video branch every day. Okay, and therefore it's picking up. The engagement levels are better. We are also seeing balances move up of the people who are calling on the video. Okay, because they're really happy. They've just got connected. Okay, so I think some of these matrices, and somewhere Shubha did talk about how do you sort of measure whether it's working or not. So there are clear matrices that you've put in. Okay, while I've launched this service, what are the things that move up? So I think that's where I want to sort of leave that.
Fantastic, thanks. So Alok, definitely refer to that aspect. You alluded to it as well, and do touch briefly upon measurement. How do you measure effectiveness?
So I wish I had some of the problems you guys do. My problems are very different. So yeah, your customers love long-winded conversations. My customers don't. Your customers, want 16-minute calls with their relationship manager. My customers don't. So our business is again, it's slightly different because it's not, while all my customers are mobile independent in a sense, they're not mobile familiar. So they have high-end phones and they will do basic mobility because that's what powers the business. When Prasanjeet or Mohit or Sanjay talk to their customers, they're speaking to the customer directly. In my case, in a post-sale scenario, I don't talk to the customer at all. The customer buys the vehicle and then the driver picks it up and the driver runs it in some remote part of the country. Any problem that occurs with the vehicle is completely owned by the driver. So the customer has no interface. You discovered that IVR wasn't working. We discovered that 5 years ago. So our call center, and I run a 40-odd member call center team out of Bangalore, is not IVR dependent. And the reason it's not IVR dependent is because the guys who call in are calling for a breakdown. Gaadi kharab ho gaya, what do I do? It's typically the driver calling saying, I have a problem in the middle of the night somewhere in Jharkhand or where have you. They're not English familiar and they will completely get intimidated by technology. So it's completely manned by people 24/7. We support 20 languages. The call center supports 20 languages. So we use that very effectively to turn that around. For every incoming call, just so you know, the customer service agent actually makes 20 outgoing calls to sort of solve that problem. So it's a little rustic and basic to that extent, but that's the need of the business. In terms of engagement, we do everything that traditional marketing does. We have a strong ATL play. We have a very strong BTL play. We also do technology and digital, like I said, but in a different sort of way. We are one of the world's largest automobile companies. We're the 4th largest bus manufacturing company in the world and the 12th largest trucking company in the world, right? And our biggest problem was that we were seen as a South Indian company. Now that really pissed us off, right? So about 5 years ago, we engaged Dhoni as our brand ambassador. We decided to move from a manufacturing company into a sales company, and today we're taking baby steps into becoming a marketing company, right? So that's the journey that we've transitioned for ourselves. So we use engagement differently. Our challenges are different, and if there are any content partners out here, I would encourage and welcome you to come and talk to us about what solutions you can provide for us in the digital space, right? The challenge we face is that all solutions out there today seem to be customized and templatized for B2C businesses. It's just a reskinning of a basic idea that you can sell to multiple business owners. For us, you will need to work a little harder because we do have very different needs. We do need customized solutions that will understand and work with a reasonably complex business ecosystem. But we're very happy to make that journey and transition. So anybody who's looking to sell a digital solution and go the extra mile to work with a B2B company, find bespoke customized solutions, you can always talk to us.
Fantastic. Thanks, Alok. So that was clearly a pitch which just got announced. So might be interesting for many of you out there. Just wanted to kind of quickly bring the conversation together and want to leave time for maybe a question or two from the audience as well. What really jumped out at me as we went through this fascinating conversation is firstly, as much as mechanistic and devices and digital is very, very front of mind at this point in time, we are really talking about all the examples talked about the melding of the digital and the physical worlds. We also talked about the consumer, a human being, and so you talked about major human elements, and Sanjay made a great point around engagement and continuous engagement within the context of those people. So and that you can't move away from that. That's basics of marketing, frankly, and it's as relevant today as it was all this while. While we did not use the literal expression of channel agnosticity, we definitely almost all examples really did touch about going across channels. So I think there are those three very important points which got landed, I think, which is fascinating. So just wanted to take this opportunity for anyone in the audience who either may have a question for someone in the panel, or if you have any other opinion to share. Hands being raised, and I think someone will reach you with a mic. Or if you have strong lungs, you can just make yourself heard.
I am Rajiv from NewsHunt. Question is, you mentioned about long copies. I'm sure people write long comments and feedbacks on TripAdvisor and a lot of such forums. What mechanisms you use to make sense out of so much of text which is quite possibly unstructured, and more so in digital age where we have billions of tweets and comments coming every day about your properties?
Great question. So we have a social media listening tool called Revenate that works for us. It basically gives a dashboard and does a full sentiment analysis, etc., on all the feedback that's been picked up from TripAdvisor, Facebook, Twitter, G+, and Booking.com, and all the other OTA portals. So that's one. The other is and I think you hit the nail on the head. TripAdvisor is our biggest social channel in the hospitality industry. Each feedback is responded to by general managers within 48 hours. It's a KRA that they run with. Any negative feedback is escalated straight up to the top. So we take it very, very seriously because for us it's an extension of our business. And so that's how we manage our things. So TripAdvisor is the people literally read through. Yeah, the general manager reads through every comment that he gets for the hotel. It's a bit old-fashioned, but it works very well for us. But on the aggregate, I think that was your question, we use a tool called Revenate that works pretty well for us on the text mining and sentiment analysis business for us.
Thanks, Prasanjeet.
So Shubhradeep, this question is for you. I'm from HCL. Since our business is almost similar in nature, what is your engagement strategy with your own customers?
Sure. So, interesting. Put on the spot. So we work, with our clients primarily, and what we talk about, as I said, is the sentiment is around measuring return on experience. We look for an experience cycle. So I think what you heard. We look for the strategic intent. In the case of insurance, as Sanjay mentioned, it's probably reassurance. So you would identify what the intent is. You would try to map the ideal or idealistic scenarios, especially what are the emotions you would want customers to feel through different touch points. And then you come up with a strategy, an experience strategy, which ensures how you move from the current state onto those. In many of these scenarios, an overly salesy approach potentially could actually move people away. And it can lower engagement simply because customers would not feel heard. And so you would work on those. Most experience strategies are ongoing programs. You will rarely be able to come up with a single shot. You can come up with specific campaigns which can be supported, but almost all experience strategies are typically, I represent it as two lines. One is the ideal experience or idealistic experience, which also changes with time. And then you have the actual experience and you're bridging the gap and how do they come together. And you measure every step of it, which is pretty much the sentiment which we heard from everyone here as well. Do we have time for one last question maybe? Any raising of hands? Gentleman in the front here. Yeah, why don't you spell out your question? I'll repeat it.
Hi, I'm Anand. This one is for Alok. Now, you spoke about challenges on your the regular network, but how do you handle the fleet owners, which are the bigger chunk of your business? So I hope the digital aspect for the fleet owners, because they are much savvier to the digital environment. How does that work, and can you just give us a few thoughts on that?
That's an interesting view, but you'll be surprised at how non-savvy this entire industry is. But let me just sort of give you a quick heads up on that. There are about 300 large customers who are large fleet owners, right? Now, these 300 customers, everyone knows who they are. So I know them, Bharat-Benz knows them, Tata Motors knows them, so we're all talking to the same guys. So he'll have me in one room, Tata Motors in the other, Bharat-Benz in the other, trying to negotiate the best deal out of everybody, right? We have got a key account process where we identify customers as key accounts either because they have a large fleet of somebody else's products or they're large customers of mine, and therefore we look at potential or existing business as a play. These are people who have more money than all of us put together in this room, every individual, right? They have everything money can buy. They are on extremely high-end gadgets, but they're actually using very basic mobility, right? And again, you should look at the business as a 3-generation business. So the father started the business. He's the guy who's the basic mobility, 65-odd-year-old today. First generation son, like all business families, got inducted into the business very early. Therefore, he's doing the traditional, typical things that his dad does, but he's of course more savvy. And the third generation son is usually an Ivy League education, if not the A school, at least the C school in the US somewhere, and he comes back. Our challenge in the digital context is that we know these guys are on the using digital the way we use digital. They're Facebooking, they're Twittering, they're tweeting, they're Googling, they're YouTubing, they're doing everything that everyone does. Unlike most businesses where communities pre-exist the brand, right? The community is already out there doing something, the brand simply plugs into those conversations and finds the apertures, right? In our case, we don't have a pre-existing community. No one's out there looking for trucks or buses or logistics, right? So the question is, we want to avoid wastage. We don't want to carpet bomb the world. We don't want to talk to everybody and their uncle to say like, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you're doing, can I interest you in some trucks, right? That doesn't work for us. So we're still struggling to find a way to identify communities. We believe there is a very big opportunity in the blogging sphere, right? We believe there's a very big opportunity in the technology sphere. And that's how we want to position ourselves as well. When we think of trucks, all of us get colored by what we see on the road. There's some serious R&D and engineering that goes into those products. We are starting to think about a digital journey, but not through the lens of the key account, but through the lens of young India that's looking for technology-enabled solutions, engineering as romance and romanticized view of engineering. So that's where we want to be. We want to talk to people who are forming and shaping minds and views in terms of how technology will help India become the 21st century giant we all hope it will become. So that world is very potent for us, we know, but the typical Facebook, Twitter, even LinkedIn, I'm not sure if those are great solutions for somebody else. I'm not sure if they're appropriate for us, right? I hope that answers your question.
All right. Thanks everyone. What I wanted to do, also recognize that we are standing between you and lunch, which is typically a very scary proposition. So what I would want to do is thank the panelists. Thanks Sanjay, thanks Alok, thanks Prasanjeet, and thanks Mohit. Fantastic conversation. I learned a lot. I'm sure you got a bunch away from this conversation as well. And thank all of you for being a fantastic audience. Thanks guys. Enjoy AdTech.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can we hear a round of applause for our panelists, please? Thank you.